Good morning, welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you have been here before. We are still in Manuel Antonio Bay in Costa Rica, about midway up. We're really starting to feel the transition of the seasons between dry season and wet season. Even just this morning we woke up to rain, which never happened just a month ago. So yeah, we're definitely adjusting to that, getting back into the idea of life on board being a bit damp. Those who own boats will know. I know in the UK we definitely got into a wet bed a few times and we're still adjusting to that this season, but we're going to put in a few measures in place this summer to reduce that, which is very exciting, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this video is going to touch mainly on some questions that you guys have been asking us. We've seen them, don't you worry, and we've also asked you on Instagram and here and Patreon. Hopefully this helps you learn a bit more about boat life, and I think that's about it. Enjoy the video, click subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, let's get on with the video.
You know by now that we often spend a lot of time in remote places getting sloshed around, as evident by the last episode. So we need to look after our stomachs, if you know what I mean. That's why we're grateful to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. We've been taking Symbiotic Plus, which is a prebiotic, postbiotic, and probiotic, which supports the growth of beneficial gut bacteria and supports our gut barrier function. Even my stomach agrees.
I agree, thanks Zach.
Plus, because 70% of our immune health is located in our gut, it's reassuring to know that despite travelling full time, which can throw off your gut kilter, Symbiotic Plus is there when we need it the most. And the best bit? It's shelf stable. So if you're also in a drizzle like we are right now, we don't have to rely on our fridge to keep the product cold. Just one of these a day and you're good to go. But don't just take my word for it. Head to the link below for 25% off your first order. And if you're not satisfied with your order in the first 30 days, you get a money back guarantee. So it's a win-win. Good job.
Bye Teulu. Bumpy Teulu. On the other side of the peninsula here was a surfing beach. And since the rain had passed, we took it as a sign to check it out.
Let's go!
One thing that's really nice is there's these bins right by the anchorage, which are just free to use. It's so rare that that is a thing. You know, you usually have to go into a marina to get rid of your waste or like traipse it through town, but even then it's really difficult. But yeah, recycling bins as well, which is 10 out of 10. He's off. I just opened the bag and I giggled quite a lot because Zach's most hated thing is smushed bananas in bags. He assumes every single banana in a rucksack will get smushed. So this is his solution and it just made me giggle. So it's a Tupperware with a bungee around it so the lid can't come off. And then the bananas are in the Tupperware with a bunch of other little snacks. Fastened by carabiners. I don't know, that really tickled me.
good fun out there.
Nice.
It's nice and empty. It's like 5 people out there.
Yeah, sweet.
But God, the resort here, if you're staying here, wow. It's like I can see like someone's accommodation just there and the wave's just there, so. That was the guy who recommended us coming here because it's really good surf, because he saw my Pavonis top that I was wearing, so yeah, really nice guy.
Today is a really exciting day because we're finally not going to be the only boat in the anchorage. Woo! Our friends Katie and Parker on Boundless, which is Sailing Seawind on YouTube, just arriving now, and I can't tell you how excited we are because solitude on a boat is nice, I will say, but we have been the only cruising boat in the anchorage for how long, Zach?
Well, I think we're the only cruising boat this far south of Costa Rica still, apart from them.
I think so. At least 2 weeks we've been the only boat in the anchorage, and it's okay. But it gets a bit lonely at times, as you can imagine. It's like you're plucked out of a busy neighbourhood and plonked into remotest countryside. It's nice for a bit, but it is nice to have some boats around, you know? So yeah, we're looking forward to them arriving. We're going to help guide them in a bit because there's a lot of kind of covered rocks, hazards, and we're going to help them set a stern anchor because, as you can see, we're moving a bit, but significantly less than when we didn't have a stern anchor. So yeah, really excited. Breakfast is coming for the road. You made it!
Yeah. No, that's just swell.
So they're just dropping anchor, we're leaving them to it, and when they want help with their stern anchor, we'll go help them because we are changed people. Love me a good stern anchor now. Anyway, just having some mango because it's mango season here in Costa Rica. And does anyone else cut their mangoes like this, and then you flip them inside out like a hedgehog. See, hedgehog?
And then you bite the hedgehog.
And then you bite.
And drip it on the teak deck.
Oh, mangoes. Delicious. Are you singing Christmas songs?
Yeah, go in, hop in.
Okay, what are we doing?
Helping them set a stern anchor because they are so
Rocking and rolling.
rolly.
Zach, look at these rollers coming in. It really won't show up on camera, but we could surf these.
I just dropped our slip
Oh no, into the water.
into the water.
You got a mask?
Yeah.
Do you want to just chuck it? How deep is it?
Oh, I don't know, like 20 feet.
Wow, okay. Fair enough. You got it, Zach. A few minutes later. No bueno?
No.
Okay.
You got that for a sec?
Yep. Look at this, teamwork. Alright, we're getting to the end here.
Okay.
Thank you for helping us with this. It's a lot easier with more help.
Just careful, don't let it run away from you though, yeah?
I'm not, it is almost running away from me. Job well done.
Wishing star when a cold day's gone. I wish I could believe.
It's really well dug. Not going anywhere.
Buenas.
Very nice. I can't actually believe it's been 2 years since our last Q&A. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's been a while, isn't it?
But the plan for this morning is we're going to answer 10 questions on here, and then if you want, you can head over to our Patreon where we're going to ask 10 more questions. We're going to answer 10 more questions such as our plan for the next 10 years and whether we ever will get another boat and whether we're going to have a pet on board, all those kind of things. We're going to go first in with the question best and then worst or scariest bits so far. This is a good one.
Do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
My favourite place we've been to so far is probably still Sandblast.
That's my answer.
Absolutely love the Sandblast. Dominica, probably following that.
Okay, wait, you can't steal all my favourites as well.
Yeah, Dominica's up there and Bonaire's up there as well, but San Blas is definitely my favourite place so far, so that was probably one of the best bits. I think that month that we spent there, we really, really loved it, and we could have spent probably a whole season there very easily.
Yeah.
Worst bits? I mean, like, this lifestyle, you can never really idle by with it. You've always kind of got to be on it with everything. I guess missing family and friends back home is pretty big as well. We go through like phases of, I guess when we're really busy, of not really thinking about it too much. When we slow down occasionally, we like miss home and family more, don't we? But, and then scariest bits? I mean, some of the waves when we were coming into Cape Verde were pretty hectic. That was pretty fun. And then probably some of the days in the middle Atlantic where we had 45 knots was pretty spicy.
For me, my best bit of this whole journey has to be, I did love the San Blas, but Zach's already given a few countries, but the Bahia Honda, I think that speaks volumes, those videos. It was a really life-changing moment for us and really special moment, and I think about it every single day. We're still talking to Edwin and Rosalind, and yeah, that whole Starlink buying experience, that was just the best bit of a whole journey. The worst bit, I think for me, the worst bit of the journey was, I'd actually hands up say that when the catamaran hit us in Martinique, it really shook me, and I think it made me realise how, not how vulnerable we are out here, but we felt kind of, not invincible by any means, but we had this bubble, and it was our house, and we moved around in our bubble, and I think when that boat hit us, it burst the bubble, and it made me realise very quickly that we're not as invincible as we seem, and that's a good lesson to know, especially when you're sailing. But yeah, that really shook me, and it took me quite a long time to get my confidence back up after that, especially being around other people and in busy anchorages. My scariest bit so far, easily the English Channel. It's funny because when we first bought the boat and we turned around from the English Channel, people said, oh, don't worry, when you sailed 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles, you'll look back and that will be a really easy walk in the park bit. But still to this day, I have never been as scared as I was across the English Channel. So, and it can only go up from there, which was nice.
I'll let you answer this one. If you were able to go back 2 years and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Wow. Slow down. I would say worry less, but I think the worrying kept us safe, and I think the worrying was natural to starting out. But yeah, slow down, soak it all in, and just go with the flow. That's, yeah, let go of control and just go with the flow. Have no expectations and just enjoy it, even for the hard bits.
I'll go something a bit different. I'll go more down the lines of when we added that chain link to connect our 250-meter sections of chain. I know we were on more of a budget back then, but I think I would have encouraged us to go and look for just chain, which is one continuous, and not add that link, because it kept us awake quite a few nights, and it would have, I think, been a lot more bearable at, like, when we have like stronger winds at anchorages and stuff like that, to have a chain which is fully together. Like, we sleep so, I never worry about our chain and anchor now at all. It just doesn't cross my mind at all, because I know that we've got
a really good setup,
as good as you can really get for a boat like this.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say get that sorted straight away.
I really like this question. Thoughts on Caribbean cruising versus Pacific so far? We'll just say, obviously we did most of the Caribbean and we've only done 2 countries in the Pacific, so we can't give like the best overview right now, but they are incredibly different so far. Do you want to give some reasons?
The sailing on this side has been pants so far. It's been rubbish. We've had so little wind for so much of the time. We've motored here more than we motored the entire of the Caribbean so far, but we know it's going to get better the further up we go. It's just this area is kind of a dead spot, so that's the big kind of thought for me at the moment, that the Caribbean side is actually really good sailing most of the time. The trade wind's blowing through at like 15-20 knots all the time in the season. Same direction. If you want shelter, you just go to a leeward side of the island, and it very rarely flips around to come from that way. So
yeah,
probably that.
But the biggest thing for me is, and it's natural to have this because of the less wind, but there's less boats. Like, really, we are one of the only cruising boats on this coast. We've met 2 or 3 the entire 4 months.
There's one behind us right now.
They're friends of ours. And I can't tell you how happy that makes us, because it does get lonely. And I know isolation and solitude is really nice and a lot of people crave it, but when you've been the only boat for a while, it does get lonely, you know? So yeah, I miss the other boats in the Pacific, but there's so many different things as well. The water clarity is better in the Caribbean, but the waves are way gentler in the Pacific. They're a lot more long ocean rollers, especially in the Caribbean Sea. Everything gets a bit mushy and short, steep waves. So far the conditions, the sea state conditions have been a lot nicer, but that also could be the fact that we don't have as much wind to create as much fetch. So yeah, I think that's a good sum up of that one.
Have you thought about your plans for next year? Do we need to answer that? Or
Yeah, you answer it.
At the moment, we're currently in Costa Rica. We're hoping to be in Nicaragua in like 2-3 weeks time, and then we'll be going to Chiapas in the south of Mexico for pretty much all of hurricane season, and then leaving in October, November kind of time, and heading all the way up to kind of the Sea Cortez area, where we'll spend the kind of remainder of the year, the beginning bit of the next year, and then in like March 2025, we'll be, at the moment the plan is to cross to Hawaii, spend about a month there after the 20-day passage, and then do another 20-day passage up to Alaska, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to make it into Sitka.
Yeah. That's
the plan at the moment, and then we'll cruise that area for the season, and then probably head down to BC for the winter season.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. As you all know, we were planning to cross to the Marquesas in French Polynesia, but we just thought, you know, in this whole area of coast where we've wanted to slow down, we just thought if we go that way, we will miss a whole section of the world, and it's an amazing section of the world.
It's a really cool loop to do. We've talked about doing the loop for years and years, but we kind of ummed and ahed about doing it for a long time. But I think we're like 99% set on doing this loop and doing that whole like kind of track all the way back down to
Mexico
eventually. But how long that will take us, we don't know. If we love it up there, we might spend a bit longer up there. We might just do one season and then go back down to Mexico for that following summer.
That's the route we're going to do. We don't have any time scale on that. But it is my absolute dream to get Tay-Lee to Alaska. I feel like we'd really do her proud if we took her there. That's where she's kind of designed to be in colder climates. Next question. Favourite or most essential things you've added to the boat, and what things do you wish you'd got earlier or inversely now realise you never needed to get? Oh, good question. Can I answer straight away?
Yeah.
The Bimini. The Bimini.
Yeah.
I think looking back it was slightly mental. We sailed all the way across the Atlantic and to Antigua into the Caribbean with to Martinique. No, Aruba.
Yeah.
We sailed the entire Caribbean and all across the Atlantic with no Bimini, and I think that was not great, you know? We added a Bimini and then we realised how easy it was to add a Bimini, and then we wish we'd added it when we literally first got the boat. I have no reason, I don't know why we didn't add it before. Money, time, I don't know, but we should have added that straight away.
Yeah. Probably for me, I mean, in Europe we didn't have this, but we had our reasons for not having it, but I wish we had got it in Europe and like had it straight away when we got into the Caribbean, but probably our Starlink.
Really?
Yeah, trying to deal with SIM cards and all of that when we got into Antigua for that first like month or so, and that first bit of Martinique before we got the Starlink was a pain. It was so annoying trying to get SIM cards and upload videos and everything like that. It saved us so much time, so much money. It's been really reliable. We've only had like one hiccup with it. It's just been great, and I think the other thing probably our water maker now, because we've only used it a handful of times, like 4 times we filled up our tanks with it now or something like that, but it's already just like
paid for itself.
Yeah, it's so great already.
Because we don't have to go to marinas to fill up, which is game changing. The things that we realised we never needed to get, I don't think there's anything that like instantly jumps out at me. We didn't go overboard buying stuff when we first got the boat. We were obviously on a budget, so we were quite careful of what we brought onto the boat for financial reasons rather than worried that we wouldn't use them.
I'm just trying to go through every area of the boat in my head and just trying to think. Saloon.
Personally don't need.
Engine room. Not really. We use most things on the boat, don't we? And most big things at least. I'm sure there's some like smaller things. There's probably a few board games that you're sitting on right now which we haven't used.
Anyway,
I can't think of anything on that.
This question I like a lot. What would you do if the GPS went belly up? Do you have a backup? We had our GPS go belly up, actually. I don't think we even mentioned this. We had a navigation app, which wasn't Navionics, on our phones and iPad, and across the Bay of Biscay it undownloaded itself.
It's another popular
Yeah.
phone-based system, which isn't Navionics.
That was a really big wake-up call, and that was a pretty scary moment, I'd say, but it made us realise, you know...
But we had it on 3 devices, and all 3 devices failed.
But I am saving up because I'm going to buy a sextant, and for our trip to Hawaii I want to use the sextant. I think it will be a wonderful thing to learn to use. I have a real fascination with the stars as it is, and every night I watch the stars and I see how the constellations move depending on where we are in the world, and I would love, love, love to be able to navigate with a sextant. So that's something I'd really like to learn next year.
Will you be doing any upgrades before your Pacific crossing? Which ones do you want to name? We've got loads on our list that we want to do before whilst we're in
Super
Chiapas.
exciting.
Mostly in Chiapas, hopefully. I'm sure there'll be a few that get pushed back to La Paz area in Mexico, but we've ordered and got it waiting at their shop, but we've got a hydrovane that we're adding to the back of the boat, which is going to be amazing. Along with that, on the back, we're hoping to add a solar arch so we can about double our solar intake at the moment, because we're not quite...
Topping our batteries
we haven't quite got enough to be able to do everything that we want to do on the boat, so we're going to try and at least double our solar capacity by adding at least 2 more big panels and maybe something else as well. Do you want to get onto this one?
Yeah, we're going to build a hard dodger. So as you know, we don't have a dodger at all, and we ummed and ahed last year about adding a canvas and metal frame dodger, but we decided we're going to build one from scratch, DIY style, and we're going to build it out of fiberglass in either wood or foam.
We'll also be adding radar, hopefully, chart plotter, new depth sounder, new wind instruments.
Budget depending, can I just
Budget
say?
depending, all of this as well.
We want to add a swim platform and outdoor shower.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things, I will just say
We've got the outdoor shower, we just need to install it.
Yeah, a lot of these things sound like boat luxuries, and we've kind of got to the point where fundamentally the boat can sail, and she sails really well. We just want to make our cruising life comfier at this point. You know, having a hard dodger where when you're sailing upwind you're not getting sprayed with the wind and the waves, and being able to rinse off outside after a swim. Like, it's simple things.
But being in Alaska, we kind of need some more protection out there from the elements, because it still gets cold up there.
We've done 2 years of being fully exposed, basically. I know we've got a bimini now, but the sun comes underneath and we get wet, and it's quite intense when you're sailing upwind. So we're just at the point where we want to make the boat comfier for ourselves. What was the steepest learning curve of the journey? The realisation that no one's going to come save your day. When we learnt that very early on, actually, but it was a steep learning curve. When we realised that, I feel like we became a lot more independent, and we grew in confidence with ourselves and the boat, along with weather. Like, once we learnt weather, everything got a little bit easier.
Yeah, I was going to say weather is probably the steepest learning curve that we had to do, and then all the stuff, probably engine stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like figuring out what everything does and how to fix things and all of that kind of, that's probably been a pretty steep learning curve as well for us.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, this question, a lot of people wanted to know, and I don't even think you've heard this question yet, but it's how much or little cash is reasonable to carry. I assume a lot of places you visit are not equipped to deal with plastic. For example, the local that rows out to the boat to sell fish or produce, are US dollars or euros accepted universally? Do you need to change currency every new country?
So in just about all of the Caribbean, apart from French Caribbean, we were using Eastern Caribbean dollars. Euros are obviously in the rest of it, and then the ABC Islands had their own currency, but a lot of places, especially when we got to Central America and South America, accept dollars.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good default one to have, but like...
We never get currency out in advance of going to a country, unless we've had it left over from before. We never go to a bank and change currency or anything. We get cash out in a country that we're in, and if we know it's just for that country, we try and end up spending it on, you know, marina fees or fuel or something, or checkout fees. How much do you think is reasonable cash to carry? We probably don't carry enough, I'll just say.
It depends on where we go. If we know places like accept card readily and stuff like that, we carry less cash, obviously. If we know they just don't really take card or anything like that, like in San Blas we had a bit more cash on us than we in Panama, because we knew there's not really any ATMs out there, obviously.
But I don't think we've ever carried more than like 200 or $300 of cash the whole time. So yeah, I think that gives you a bit of an idea of how much cash we carry. What prior technical knowledge and skills did you have, and what... Oh, this is the last question, by the way. What prior technical knowledge and skills did you have, and what would you recommend people learn before setting out on their own voyage?
If your boat's got a diesel engine in it, probably do a diesel engine course. I mean, that was the most challenging thing for us, but like the sailing aspect's is not the hardest bit of it, is it? It's probably one of the easiest bits. It's learning the weather and all of that
And what to do if something goes wrong. First aid, boat repairs, because I'm just going to say, if you get a boat, you will be repairing it a lot and maintaining it. They just have a habit of trying to sink themselves all the time. So there's that, but also we didn't have a ton of technical knowledge. I do the electrics on board, Zach does the engine. He did a 1-day engine course and I got taught from a friend, but neither of us did engineering at uni. Neither of us knew really much about it. I mean, just aside from common knowledge, we didn't really know much. So it was more just learning by doing, which I personally think is the best kind of learning. What would you recommend people learn before setting out on the weather? Hands down, learn the weather, learn how to anchor. We kind of touched on anchoring in our day skippers course, but not really.
It would have been really good if they almost did like a cruiser's basic course for, I don't know, how to anchor properly. Like some people get taught it on their day skippers, but
some don't.
Some don't, and we didn't get taught it. And teaching someone how to anchor is such an important skill to have, and telling them, I mean, we just kind of learnt by doing it, and we can just tell when the anchor is dug because you can just feel it in the chain. But
there is a lot more to... Actually, if you want us to do a little video at some point of how we anchor and how much scope we choose to put out, we can do that, because I feel like that's something that is interesting, even if you're not a sailor. Just, you know, it was all a mystery to me before we ever anchored for the first time. I remember anchoring for the first time and wondering why the boat was spinning. Genuinely, I had not really realised that boats spin depending on the wind. That's how new to it all I was when we first anchored. So yeah, let us know down below if you'd be interested in a video about that. And that is all the 10 questions, actually. That went... I feel like it went quickly, but we've probably been speaking for ages. Now we're going to hop onto Patreon to answer some others. Hopefully we see you over there.
They're all crossing the road now. Oh, they're going to be higher. They're not right, mate.
He'll find the right one, I'm sure. I want to see how he picks it. Oh, with his mouth. Oh. Oh, he doesn't like it. That's hilarious. We just did a quick provision in town, and now we've spontaneously decided we're going to go all the way to Tamarindo from this bay, do an overnight today. So we're going to leave at like 1 or 2 p.m. and we're going to get to Tamarindo at like 1 or 2 p.m. tomorrow. It's 100 and... how far is it? 130 miles?
125.
125 miles.
So I just quickly scrubbed the bottom. I'm gonna go and retrieve our stern anchor with the dinghy. Trying to be careful this time. We'll bring it all back on. We've got a few little bits we need to do before we go, and then we can go and head to Tamarindo.
Whoop, whoop.
Let's do it, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready for the swell to hit you?
No.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
I'm not ready.
Definitely on there.
Please don't flip it, please don't flip it, please don't flip it. I've got the roll back for sure.
I don't know.
No? Can you try and trip it? Now we're in a bit of a pickle, as the stern anchor was near some pretty hefty rocks, so we couldn't risk letting out more primary chain so we could bring Tay-Lee on top of it. We're just going to have to use some force. What happened there?
I messed up.
Why?
I thought I'd be able to get it out by tripping it, but it's so in there that I just can't. So we're gonna winch it in and try and do it like this. Hold it. I think that's going to trip it this way. I think it almost tripped it.
Surely it must be soon.
Yeah, the chain's just there. You're just going to have to pull in chain slowly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Get your feet against here, and when you're holding the chain, because I might need to put the weight on you occasionally.
So sit down into a really strong position. So feet against here probably, and you're like there. There's a like tug of war. Yeah? And you're in a really strong position. Okay? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, is that strong?
I think so.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, slowly. Okay, up.
Okay. Okay. Did we go over the top? Okay. Let me come help you. Okay, I'm gonna grab the roll bar, okay?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, up. Good job, we got it. Okay, if you get the mud off.
Yeah. Someone on the boat. Try not to.
It's alright.
Are you okay for a sec?
Yeah.
Wait. I'm gonna get everything muddy.
Right, can you just lift the chain over that bit? No. Yeah. Let's get caught in there. No, up. Yeah.
I got all the mud off with my hands, but we're gonna put the anchor down in the cockpit and then wash it down with some salt just to get the rest of the mud off. But that was a workout. Midday heat too. Wow, you're having a mud party down there. There's so much mud in the cockpit.
Yeah. Look at those.
What are they? Barnacles?
I don't know, they're like stringy things. Beautiful, alright, do your own thing.
That's it from us this week. Check back next Monday to see us sail overnight to the north of Costa Rica.
It's very salty.
It is very salty here.
It's weird. It's so different, the climate here as well compared to down south.
Where after months we finally find a bit of breeze. Oh, look at this! This is the best day, I think, of the year.
Phew! That's better, that's quite nice like that. You think I can get all the way to the end?
I say, where you going with my heart? I'm so afraid of getting lost. Tell me where